Ladies and gentlemen, this is Joe's Classic Video Games back with another fantastic video for you this evening. This is a really unique game. This is a fairly rare, well, I don't know if rare is the right word, but a fairly, you don't see too often, Gottlieb pinball machine. This one's called Dancing Lady, 1966. This is an interesting one. This was one of their machines where they had just changed a lot of the way they were doing things previous, and so this was the first model that had the new features on it. So there's some little things I'll show you that they changed, but this is a really neat game, and we're really excited about getting this one up and running because we've had it for quite a while. We bought this probably 4 years ago, maybe 5 years ago, from an operator who's local here, and it's got this came out in 1966, and it's got a 1970 tax tag on it. And from what we understand, this thing has been in storage in a warehouse since about 1970, 1971, the early 70s. And this video has been shot in 2016, so this thing has been packed away for 45 years. And we got it going again, so we're kind of proud of that. I'll show you what's going on with it. It's a neat game, and it's dominated by this neat little feature that it's got in the Backglass that we'll show off a little bit. But again, it's 1966, and this was kind of a plain looking game, at least on the cabinet art. You know, I think King of Diamonds has a similar art on the side of the cabinet. Not positive about that. Maybe I should have looked that up before I told you that, but you folks can go look it up. But it's a 4-player, of course. Gottlieb's 4-player Dancing Lady. It's a very kind of, you know, it was a different time. 1966 was a little bit different than where we are now, but it's a very kind of classy looking game. Here's the tax sticker I was talking about. 1970. Now, it may have been operated after that, but knowing the operator who's passed away now, knowing the way he had stuff stored, and talking to him a little bit about some of the stuff, I don't think it was. I think this thing's been in storage since the early 70s. Because if you think about it, this was one of the games with the little 2-inch flippers. If you think about it, soon after this, the 3-inch flippers came out, and everything had 3-inch flippers, so this would have been retired. It just wouldn't have been making any money anymore. So they locked it away. We found a couple things bad on it, messed up on it, that were almost like they were damaged, like the ball count unit and stuff like that. So it could have been that somebody broke the game trying to fix something, and they just left it in storage for a while. You know, they never actually got it going after that, but it's got a nice look to it. The cabinet's kind of plain, but everything else is pretty sharp. But this was the first one that they did their little thing that they do where the ball lights are here. So it says game over, and then it'll light up ball 1, ball 2, ball 3, ball 4, ball 5. This was the first Gottlieb like that. They changed the design of the cabinet a little bit, made the back box a little taller than they were before. And this was the first one that had ball lift on a Gottlieb. Now, if you know a lot about pinball machines, you know all of this. I'm not trying to bore anybody, but for the people that aren't into these really old ones, I like going into detail about them because they're so cool, but a lot of people have no appreciation for them. So, but before this model of Gottlieb, all of the Gottliebs you had to manually lift the ball. So you know how you hit start on a pinball machine and the ball pops out? Not always. Back in the day, it wasn't like that. You would hit start, and then there was a lever right here, and you would push that lever in, and it would make the ball pop up, and then you would shoot it. So it had two. There was this, and then there was a lever beneath the shooter too. But this was the first one that didn't have that. And then another feature that was unique to this one was this little carousel unit. So right in the middle of the playfield, they have these little targets that spin around on a platter. Now, before this, Gottlieb had a roto target unit that's in a bunch of games that's really popular. That is basically it's mounted flat like this, so it spins like that, and the targets, the different targets pop up in the windows, you know, so that you can hit it with the ball. Well, this is the same concept, but it's flat. It's like a platter, with the little targets sticking up that you can hit. So as you can see, you can hit all 5 of these targets. Very cool. We had to, this thing was, what happens on these, and I think on the roto targets too, but what happens on these is that they get hit so much, the ball, since it's round, always hits the target at the exact same spot. So these targets always get like the paint worn off in a line all the way across the front. And if you look close enough, you can see even in this video that I've repainted that, but they don't make the decals for this particular game because it's not a real popular game. They make replacement decals for some of them. But on this one, we just had to go back in and hand paint everything that was missing, the white and the black and then the red on the star here. But we got it looking pretty good. We're kind of proud of that too. So, very cool. So we'll look at the art a little bit. Check out this Backglass. So at the top it says, manufactured by Gottlieb and Company, a Gottlieb flipper skill game. And we've talked before about how the skill, the flippers were added to these games, you know, a few years prior to this. To make it where it had a skill component to it, because if a game had a skill component to it, it wasn't considered gambling in some states, which was a big problem. Where basically if a pinball machine was considered a gambling device, they wouldn't let people operate them. So the flipper was invented to give you a little bit of skill where you could control the ball a little bit, so that it could be legal. And of course, it was manufactured in Chicago, Illinois, where most pinballs were. The little 5 that's lit up is the match number that's on right now. So those are all across the top. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And then you got your first player, second player, third player, fourth player. Now if you look at the first player window here, if you look really close, you can see the outline of a numeral 1. See it? So the way they designed this was there are 3 score reels. You actually get 1 point for some things. You know, this is back before points. Now you get 10 million points if you hit, like, you know, the stand-up switch. Back then you got 1 point if you hit the stand-up switch. So your scores weren't super high, but if you got over 1,000, when this rolled up to 9, it would light a little light here with a 1 on it. You can't light a 2, you can't light a 0, it's just a 1. So if you get over 1,000 points, the 1 will come on and these will reset back to 0. So you can get 1,999 points. Now I don't know if you, after you roll that past, I'll bet the 1 stays on, but I don't know. I haven't tried that yet. And in the background, what this game is basically based on is people are at a theater watching a ballerina dance on stage. So on the Backglass, you have all this art of these people, well dressed, you know, in their evening wear and everything. You can see the curtains in the background where they're at a theater. And you got this guy down here. And then you can see she doesn't look that impressed. He looks like he's enjoying the show, as is his wife. And then you see the people here, they're coming down the steps in this big ballroom or whatever. Yeah, it's 1966, something like this. There's no way in hell they would design something like this now. It just wouldn't sell. And this one may have not sold, I don't know, but it's an interesting design. And then you have this. So you've got this little figurine in there that's a little ballerina, and there are little footlights here that light her up. And then there's this metallic thing behind her that almost looks like she's on a stage, like that's a curtain behind her or something. And all this ballerina does is, while you're playing at certain parts, basically whenever the score motor turns, one of the cams hits a switch that spins an electric motor that's on the ballerina and has her spin around. So she'll spin this way and then it'll tighten up and then she'll spin back the other way. And she just does that while you're playing. So you might say, why in the world would they do that? It doesn't even help the game or anything. Well, are you sure about that? I mean, it's kind of cool, right? So if you had an entire lineup of games, let's say you had, 10 games in a row, and this one had a little ballerina in the back of it, you might try it out just to see what it does, you know. So it doesn't really do anything special, and you don't earn any points for making the ballerina do anything or anything like that. And it's literally just a little plastic figure, but it's kind of neat. I mean, it's neat that they took the trouble to go through it and make that happen. So, but that's the Backglass. So the playfield is dominated by this large ballerina figure here in the middle, who's wearing the same dress basically that the girl in the back is. And you've got the same kind of setup. You've got curtains draped around the top of the playfield, and then on the plastics you've got, you know, people dressed up like they're out to a ball. Another ballerina, another ballerina. It's just got a neat look to it. It's got nice colors and things. And then here on the center plastic, you've got two people applauding the ballerina, and she's doing her curtsy. So pretty neat. I like it. It's kind of cool. It's old school, but what's not to like? Now, like I said, it has the little 2-inch flippers. It's got a pretty cool little, the gameplay is pretty cool. They've got a neat little thing I'll show you. So let's read the instructions. Instructions: 1, 2, 3, or 4 players. 3 balls per player. Now you can change this to 5 balls if you want. We always put them on 3 ball. A lot of people prefer the EMs to have 5 ball, but I just like the 3 ball games. Insert 1 coin and wait for machine to reset before inserting coin for additional players. Players take turns shooting as shown on Backglass. So basically, you know, whenever you light up, it's your turn. Top rollovers score 50 points or 100 points when lit. So that's up here. So those just alternate back and forth. So those 2 are on now. After you score a point, the other 2 will be on, and those 2 will be off. So it just goes back and forth. So the ones that are lit up give you 100. The ones that aren't give you 50. Star has a value of 1. Alright, the star is on the roto target. Now right now the star is right in the center, but the roto target goes all the way behind here, so there's like, you know, 12 different targets or whatever, and so that target, there's only one, and it'll disappear behind here and then come back around, and you've got 4s, 2s, 3s, 2s, 1s. Points are scored as indicated, so it says all over the playfield pretty much what everything scores. A tilt does not disqualify a player, so what that means is if you tilt, you just lose that ball. You don't lose it doesn't knock you where you can't play anymore. Some games it did, so that's why they specify. Matching last number in score to number that appears on Backglass after game is over scores 1 replay. Alright, so they don't really get into how to play everything that much, but it's kind of neat. So you go through the top, and you have to fall through one of those 4, and then you fall into the pop bumpers. Now on the side there is a red and yellow target on the left and a red and yellow target on the right. Now if you hit those, you get 10 points, as it says, and it says it lights the corresponding bumpers. So if you hit the red target, it lights up both of the reds. If you hit the yellow target on either side, it lights up both of the yellows. So you don't have to hit all 4, you can just hit either one. So the pop bumpers give you 1 point, or they give you 10 points if they're lit up. Simple enough. That's like that on everything. You've got a little rubber here that you can hit, gives you 1 point. You've got one over there that you can hit that gives you 1 point. And then over here, if you fall down the side lane, you get 50 points and it spins the roto target. And the same over here, 50 points and it spins the roto target. Now off bumpers. I guess that resets the lights. I didn't think about that. That's interesting. I'll have to play that and make sure that's what it does. But it looks like whenever you go through there, it turns off the bumpers, which makes where these are only worth 1 point again. Am I right about that? I don't know. We'll have to play it a little bit to make sure, but because bumpers are usually these down here, so I don't know. Well, no, those are pop bumpers, so I guess that's what it's saying. We'll figure it out. All right, now then you have these 2 saucers on the side, and so 10 times and spin the roto target when lit. They're not talking about this light. This light is telling you that this hole is worth 15 points, literally 15 points, or 10, or just 5 if that's lit up. But if this hole is lit up too, that can illuminate. If that's lit up, then you get 10 times whatever this says, so you would get 150 points. And it would also spin the roto target around. Now if it spins the roto target, you don't score anything, it just spins it and gives you different numbers, because you might not like how it's set up here. So you might have a lot of ones or something where it's not worth a bunch of points, so you want to get a 5 up or the star up. And then over here you've got the same exact thing. 10 times the spin roto when lit. So whenever you hit the yellow or red pop bumpers, or if you hit this left sling that says red advance, or this right sling that says yellow advance, it moves these little lit up numbers here in the middle. So this is kind of interesting the way they did this. So if I hit this 4 right now, I get 4 points. But if I hit the 2, since the 10's lit up, I get 20 points, right? Now, if the red and the yellow line up, like if that red was underneath this, I would get 20 points times 10, I'd get 200 points. So you can actually get 500 points if the 5's out and both of them are lined up on it. So it's kind of fun that it does that because these are always moving, and it makes it where this roto target is always worth different scores, so it's constantly changing what it's worth. And then the star is interesting. So in the middle, there's this light here. Hitting star awards extra ball when lit. So sometimes this light lights up, and it just depends on basically what's advanced and the little, I guess it's like there's a little bonus unit or something, an alternating relay inside of it, or some kind of little unit that changes it to make it kind of random. I think it's every 2 or 3 times that lights up. So if that's lit up and the star is rotated around where you can see it and hit it, if you hit the star you get a free ball. And so the way they do a free ball on these old ones is they light up this light that says same player shoots again when lit. So that's it. So pretty cool. Oh, another thing too, if you lose the ball out the out lanes, you get the roto value when lit. So if you go on this one you get A, if you go on this one you get B, C, or D, which is the numbers on the top of the roto target, A, B, C, or D. So for instance, if you lost it down this B lane and that was lit, right now you would get 20 points, 2 times 10, which is the B value. So fun little game. I'll set up the tripod and I'll show you the, first I'll show you the Backglass. I'll show you the little dancing lady dancing a little bit, and then we'll play a game with it on the playfield so you can just see how it goes. Be back in just a second. All right, folks, I'll play a quick little game just so you can see what the little lady does in the back while you're playing. Basically, she's on the score motor, so whenever the score motor turns, as you advance the score motor for anything, it spins her around a little bit and she starts dancing like that. But you can do lots of things where you get points and stuff and she doesn't move, but if it involves the score motor turning, it makes her spin. So that's what it's doing when you're looking at the playfield. All right, folks, so we'll try it out a little bit. Now, if you look really close, you'll see the ballerina spinning around right here, reflecting in the glass. Also, this light says hitting star awards extra ball when lit. So if I have the good fortune to hit the star while that's lit up, and you'll see that go on and off, blah, 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 I will get a extra ball. Now, this is a 2-inch flipper game. So you don't get a ton of action out of the flippers because they just don't have as much of a swing. So that little you just heard the tick tick because I went down D. So I went down D, which is score D on the reel here, which is 2. So it was tick tick 2 points. Now you'll hear a ding ding ding, which is 10 points. So if I would have went down C, I would have scored C, which is 3 points, but the times 10's lit. So it would have went ding ding ding. Now, if that times 10 and this times 10 had lined up, you would have heard dong dong dong. There's like a bell that rings for 100. So the tick is 1 point, the ding is 10 points, and the bell sound is 100 points. Like that. Oh, did I get it? I got it. Same player shoots again, win lit. Now the way they made that, there's a little switch right up here in the run out lane, or what do they call it? There's a switch right there, and its only purpose is whenever you go over that switch, it's going to know that the ball's back on play and it'll turn off that light. Ding dong, 20 points. Whoever's on the phone is just gonna have to wait. Tell them I'll call them back. Oh, game over. Let's try it one more time. Watch her spin. It's a cool little game. I mean, you know, for what it is. Had a little English on the ball there. Oh, right past me. $100 points. And it skips all the pop bumpers. Ah, straight out the side. So you heard it go ding, 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 ding. It's because I went down A. So I got the A score, which is 5 times 10, 50. Getting that extra ball is harder than you think because it's timed weird. Like it spins a certain number of times around each time it does it, like about 3, and then this only lights up about every 3 times that it spins. So the whole thing's weird. It's hard to get the star visible while that's lit up. It's just tough to do. Probably by design. I mean, they're trying to earn quarters, or dimes actually. They're trying to earn dimes, folks. That was pathetic. So see, the light's lit up, but the star's not even out. Ooh, I didn't even get to flip it. No flipping available that time. All right, we'll try one more game. Ooh. Need to spin it some more because it's not at a good spot. Like there's no good points to be had really. on the carousel. But the only way to really do that is get it back up. There we go. There's my star. If I can get, oh, if I can get it to light up and then roll down the D or something, I'll be all right. Oh. All right. Ball 3. Oh. All right, so there you go, folks. And as you can see, the one lit up next to the, you might not be able to see it because it's, check it out, my one lit up, so I've got 1,100 points. That's how they did it back in the 60s, folks. Now, by the time you see this, this beautiful dancing lady pinball machine, we may not even have it for sale anymore. She may have pirouetted over to someone else's game room. But that's all right. Check out our website, lionsarcade.com. We've got tons of games like this for sale at all times. Arcade games mostly, but we get a lot of pinball machines into. So maybe we've got something that you'll be interested in. And if you're here local, come see us. We're in downtown Rock Hill, South Carolina, which is about 15 miles south of Charlotte, North Carolina. And we've always got a whole showroom full of these arcade games. And if you're not local and you're not looking to buy a dancing lady game from 1960, you have no clue what you would do with it, that's fine. Just subscribe to us here on YouTube. Every time we get in something neat like this, we'll film a little video. And we will see you on the next one.